On August 22nd, 2025, Etsy released new guidelines on how we should do listing titles. Again, Etsy, right before Q4, you've got to give us a break here. Sellers everywhere are trying to figure out, do they change all of their titles now or wait to see what happens? Because Etsy chose right now to put out these new guidelines, the decision that you make now could make or break your Q4 sales. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Shalise, and I help Etsy sellers turn their shops into real businesses. On this channel, I share step-by-step strategies and simple business systems so you can make more sales, keep more profit, and grow without burning out. Now here's the thing. Every Etsy YouTube channel right now is covering this topic. But I don't just want to recap Etsy's article. I want to talk through it with you. Because some sellers are warning us that these changes can tank your rankings, while others are saying there's nothing to worry about. And some believe this is actually an opportunity for us to get more traffic. So before we dive in, tell me your thoughts. Have you gone in and changed all of your listing titles, or are you waiting to see what happens? All right. Let's start with what Etsy actually said in a seller handbook update on August 22nd. Etsy wants cleaner, easy to scan titles. They said put in the product type first, like mug or sweatshirt. Add traits like color, type, or material up front. And they suggest keeping it under 15 words, moving other keywords into your tags or your description. They also recommend leaving out gifting phrases like gift for him or birthday present, and leaving out words like perfect or beautiful. And one of the biggest things is they're rolling out a new AI tool that would suggest new titles for you. Now, most of us have hundreds of listings, so this new AI tool will update all of your titles at one time. Now, that might sound good, but that's also a little scary if you're not sure you want to update all of your titles. I know I've been reading that a lot of sellers, when they got the pop-up inside of their shop manager, they hit save and they updated all of their titles, which could or could not hurt their rankings. So if you're watching this right now and you have not updated all your titles, I want you to hold off before you do that, especially with using the AI tool. But if you have, don't panic. There's always a way to fix things. Now, Etsy recommending that you have clearer titles sounds simple enough, right? So here's where things get interesting. Not all sellers are seeing the same results after making these changes. One seller actually ran real tests to see what happens if you follow Etsy's advice, and the results are kind of surprising. Pam Doty, who's known for her data-driven approach, created perfectly optimized listings and tested them using eRank. Here's what she found. She created a perfectly optimized listing and got it to rank on page 1. But when she removed the main keyword and relied on broad matching, which is what Etsy says it'll do if you create these cleaner titles, she found that listing vanished from the top 500. And get this, a keyword stuff listing that Etsy is telling us that they do not want us to do stayed ranked on page 1. So Etsy's guidance says one thing, but the algorithm might not be rewarding it yet. That is a big disconnect. So now you have to decide, are you going to trust Etsy's guidance or what the data is showing based on the testing that Pam did? I do recommend you go and watch Pam's video because it had a lot of good information in it, and I'll leave it linked in the description. Now, not everyone is panicking about this. Another Etsy seller has a much calmer take on the situation. Bailey Vaughn, which is another Etsy YouTuber that I absolutely love, reminded everyone that Etsy didn't say they changed the algorithm. This is guidance, not a rule. Her strategy? Don't touch any listing that's already doing well, and I wholeheartedly agree with this advice. Instead, duplicate the listing, take one listing and follow Etsy's advice, and leave the other listing as is and see which one performs well. You're going to need to give it about 30 days, but now you have a real test so you can see which one is going to work better. Now, Bailey also questioned some of Etsy's other suggestions, like putting the size and material in the front of the titles. Because really, how many buyers are typing in medium sweatshirt or cotton sweatshirt? Now, I do agree that people might not be searching for a medium sweatshirt, but I have a lot of my Etsy sellers that are looking for 100% cotton t-shirts and things of that nature. So putting cotton in the title might not be bad. I'm not sure that I agree with putting it at the front of the title though. And she also pushed back on Etsy's advice for avoiding gifting keywords. like gift for mom or a personalized gift. But for some Etsy sellers, these are huge categories, so you may or may not want to go with that advice. Bailey mentioned that she was going to test that for herself, and I recommend that you do the same. Let me know in the comments, do you think these gifting keywords are too important to your niche for you to drop them? I'd love to hear what a lot of different sellers in different niches are saying about this. And then there's a totally different angle, one that says these updates could actually be a good thing. Dylan Jarvis, which is another Etsy YouTuber that I really respect, says that this might be an opportunity. Now, she's not saying go and change all your titles and tags, but she has a different perspective on how this could be a good thing for Etsy sellers that don't panic through this change. Dylan pointed out that Etsy is still giving us 140 characters, and she calls this SEO real estate. And she also says that if Etsy didn't want you to use them, then they would have lowered this character limit. So while Etsy says consider using less than 15 words, it's not a requirement. So her advice, use all of the Etsy real estate that they give you. Front load your titles with clarity, but don't throw away those valuable long tail keywords. And she reminds us that buyers only see the first 3 to 5 words in your titles in the search results anyway. They usually click based on your photo and your price, not your complete title. So if other sellers panic and chop down their titles too much, they'll lose keyword coverage, and you'll have the chance to rank better. So do you agree with Dylan that smart sellers could actually gain traffic if everyone else overreacts? Let me know what you think in the comments. So where does that leave us? Let me tell you what I'm going to do in my shops. For low performing listings, I'm going to update them right away. There's no need for me to leave them. They're not getting views anyway, so they can't tank any farther than they have already tanked. So I'm going to use Etsy's AI tool and update those immediately because they can only get better. For high performing listings or even moderately performing listings, I'm going to leave them alone. I am not touching them. What I'm going to do is duplicate those listings and have one listing with the Etsy suggested title and the other listing with the keywords that I already have in them because they are performing. And then I'm just going to wait. I'm going to give it anywhere from 1 to 3 months to see which of those listings are performing, and then I'll truly know which listings are performing better because I've tested them. Because Etsy SEO isn't instant. But what if you don't do anything? And then these changes that Etsy is suggesting end up helping listings instead of tanking them, which we're kind of seeing right now. But what if over time these suggestions do help? Then now you're going to be behind people that have made these changes. But also on the other hand, if you go and just change all of your listings right now and your sales tank right before Q4, that would be detrimental too. So I'm going with the best of both worlds. I'm going to have some listings that are the way Etsy suggested and others that have keywords in them, and I'm using all of that SEO real estate that Dylan talked about. Here's the bigger picture. Etsy updates its guidance all the time. Sometimes it's about buyers, and other times it's about SEO. And sometimes, like this one, it's not entirely clear. That's why the sellers who stay calm, test, and track are the ones who end up winning in the long term. It's all about testing. Think back to those science projects you had to do when you were in middle school. You came up with an hypothesis and you tested to find out the results. Same thing. So here's where I land. Etsy wants cleaner titles, and sellers everywhere are debating what that actually means. But for me, the smart move is simple. Update low performers now, leave strong listings alone, duplicate, and test side by side. Then give it 1 to 3 months and see what actually happens. Because who knows why Etsy decides to roll out vague updates and guidance right before the busiest time of the year. I guess they just want to keep us on our toes. So let's turn this into a community test. Tell me in the comments, are you updating your titles right away? Are you waiting to see what happens? Or are you going to do the testing strategy and duplicate your listings and see which ones work? I'd love to hear what you're seeing in your own shop, and I'll be sharing the updates from my testing as well. And if you're just getting started, don't forget you can grab my free Etsy shop checklist. I'll have it linked in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, which is always right here.